choices. They're all around us, within us, and beyond us. They consist of everything we do, and they divide the unrealized and the realized part of you. The only thing that makes you you beyond merely just being an observer. I don't know quite certainly if you feel satisfied with all the choices you've made. I'm sure that you wonder about what aspects of your life you can even bother to control. I'm never satisfied with my decisions. I always seem to be living in a state of regret, staring at pictures and screens that tempt me, as if there was another choice to make, as if I was a perfect machine, considering what the best decision could have been, but were far more complex underneath the surface. Why bother trying to understand things that maybe don't have an answer? There's so many parts that consist of you, parts of which you don't understand and will never be able to categorize or target. There's no questioning what we are or where we are, because we're so many pieces layered within this thing we call self. So I'd like to distance myself from a necessity of purpose or a point. We are not machines, but we are in fact cyborgs, creatures that are a fusion between the perfect and the imperfect. Organic bodies in an artificial world that demands us to be as exact as the very machines we use. I'll somehow not live up to something. I'll be aimless and I'll be wandering through the world for something that I've already had inside of myself. And so we're looking at a world that is trying to make ourselves more machine than man. One that's asking us to be more perfect than we ever were. You know, we're acting like we can control it all, like we can be arbiters of something and define whatever that means for us. But there's no clear sense of self. Why should there be such a need for precision? We live it in the day-to-day, in the experiences we make, in the memories we keep with us, even when so much withers away. There's only who we are now and what we're doing. Such little time, so little life to live. Can we at least have our own thoughts and feelings? Because so much is going to change and slip through our fingers. The legitimate amount of decisions we have disposable are finite. Don't let the decisions others make for you control what you are. Live for yourself. Live for the imperfect, as if there's nothing better to do than just be perfect. We may be tools, but it's the choices we make that make us so distinct and so human and so unique, even when there's so much of a demand to be ordinary or safe. Because what good was it to live safely, living for others when we could live for ourselves, our unique and distinct existences? And so we have so many ways to define ourselves. And I just wonder about having so many ideas, so many ways of connecting with people and having decisions that we can make online and in person. There's so many ways that we can get caught up in all of these tools, all of these objects, all of these machines, all of these distractions, ways of looking at things that don't concern ourselves, ways of getting entertained and ways of looking at other realities and losing ourselves in the process. But maybe it's not so bad to lose ourselves, to detach ourselves from certain expectations and reflections. I give myself more peace these days by acting like I'm an animal instead of acting like I'm a calculating and logical creature, because accepting what I really am has required sacrifice. And it's required detaching myself from this idea of conformity. My needs speak for themselves, and to act like I need to reason myself into action is something that I'm trying to walk away from. We are transformative beings, always. And we don't need to act like things are so logical, and that things will make sense, and that all of our choices really matter, because I'm not sure if we matter really. Because to act like we do is to conform to something. It's to conform to this idea that we're tools that are only useful if we're fulfilling something. Something that can be defined as innately having value or some type of worth. Like a machine or a tool, but not as just a thinker or just one who has a heart that feels and acts, that moves without true understanding.
because we don't need to have an answer for everything we do. Not every choice needs to be so special. So I'd like us not to be governed by the tools, because whatever this place is for you, I just don't want anybody to take away what that experience is. It's unique and distinct. It's formless, and it doesn't necessarily need to have a point. It just is, and we can't turn away. Our sense of belonging, our sense of worth. Yes, technology hasn't had much to say about it, but I think we can use these tools as a way to reject the necessity of conformity, because I'm trying to run away from this idea of necessity to favor choosing my own personal reality, my own personal freedom.
I think the greatest types of innovation have always come from a place where we live beyond the constraints predetermined to our expectations and merely roam.
We're seeing how we can apply information and technology in ways that are unorthodox, because this is a world we're stuck within, and I think we're always going to be here in some way. But I'm more interested in how we can
do things that we didn't think were possible, using our unique decisions to define what matters and what is real.
Nothing's real. Nothing's here. Nothing matters. Nothing belongs.
It's in tearing myself away that I finally feel like I have a place to breathe, a place to be real and connect,
because I'm not living to satisfying the
perspectives of others. The things that will make them satisfied with me are happy. I'm merely living for my own sake. And yes,
it's so lonely here.
There's less to expect and to understand. As my own arbiter of truth,
I don't quite know what I'm doing at all moments. I'm merely just watching myself going through the motion, because I know the future will move on with or without me. Because ultimately, the longer I stay bogged in those places, I realize that I'm living for the
expectations of others. I'm betraying my first instincts. I'm betraying my sense of agency.
Because it requires believing you're responsible for your existence. You need to know that your decisions matter, not because they matter to the world or anyone else at large, but because they're precious to you. And they're the things you've got to live with at the end. They're the things you've got to sit with and consider. Are you doing the things that make you feel whole, that make you feel real, that make you feel here? Are you just running away from the version of yourself that I know you can be? Are you living for other people? Or are you living for yourself? I'm doubtful. There's so many possibilities that we can roam and let ourselves wander within, acting like that's the version we need to be. Dying was never up to us, and neither was living. So how can we hope to let the in-between just pass us by as we let ourselves remain forgotten? Grains in the sand scattered away, but that's alright. The most beautiful things were never made to last, were never made to stay, were never made to remain for too long at all, really. Your thoughts and dreams, they linger in your mind, but they scatter like petals in the wind, eroding into ashes at a moment's whim. And so you have so many shadows of self you can look at, so many ways you can explore the world and just look deep into yourself and wonder, just who are you and why? Life has been such a strange opportunity to see it all.
How disconnected I've been when I've merely lived for obligations.
How connected I've been when I've made decisions I've truly loved, I've truly valued in the end. And how disconnected I've been when I've not lived for my own decisions, acting like I need to fulfill the expectations of others for a purpose I can't even understand. And yet I'm simply doing it because if I don't, I'm not going towards the things I need to be doing. The spiral deep within, that which calls me, that which appeals to me. As if I'm waiting for the world to show me its face so I can join it. I don't think we need tools to define ourselves. I don't think we need an exact purpose or function. And as such, we must live for our own sake, even when that doesn't seem like it matters that much, like it's amounting to anything, like it's going towards something significant. Because truly the journey is self-made. Perhaps it will only be in the end that others will understand while the thoughts you had were yours and real. I've enjoyed the journey with others, but I've forgotten what it means to enjoy the journey for myself when I'm truly loving the decisions I'm making, because that's what I want to do, and not merely for the sake of aligning with the status quo. I've let that dictate too much of my life for so long that to live now I truly want to be living for myself and not for others. And so I will align with the way I see the world, even if others don't get it, because I'd like to be real.
And I'd like to be connected to my existence, and I'd like for you to be as well.
Connected to this world in a way that might seem purposeless. Disconnected from it all. But you yourself become your own orbit. As you wander through the world, as you define your own narrative in this ambiguous world, how much are you living for yourself and your own decisions, your own sense of self, the things that will keep you whole and happy and real and connected? How much are you doing those activities, those things that are so necessary for you to be you? Because I hope you're not ignoring the things that make you so distinct and valuable. Valuable because you care about them, and not valuable because that's what we expect for you to be, or for whatever your function is meant to provide. Because I like seeing you free, unshackled by the barriers of others. Because I'm more curious about the things you do that don't have a point, that aren't necessary for your survival. Things that are beyond the barriers of logic and reason. What are you doing that makes you special? Things that you don't need to do. Things that are perhaps pointless. Because that's what I'm curious about. The choices we make that are apparently pointless. The choices we make that don't seem to be the most reasonable or fulfilling or logical. Because the world doesn't make sense. And I don't want you to either. It'd be too boring if you made yourself just like the others. To others at least, because there's always a critic in the room, a person who thinks they understand and know better, as if they ever did, when it's your life to live. Because it never mattered what we were or what we will be. We are. We're here, and we're having an experience. And that's what I care about fundamentally more at the end of the day. Because we can't take the expectations of others with us. They may live in our heads, they may loiter in our minds, but they do not live for us. They are not with us in the day-to-day, because there'll never be one like you again. You are your own arbiter. It's you that you live with every day. It's your life, it's your fate, and it's your will. It's your existence, it's your experience, and there is no way that you're meant to live for other people. Don't try to be more than what you are. Don't try to be anything else but you alone, because you won't be satisfied living for those other people. Because I like you just the way you are, strange and unique. Something that's quite not ordinary, but yet is special all the same for its differences. Stand out, strike out, but never relent towards getting what you truly desire. Because I believe there are so many ways to express yourself. And if you're such a unique being, I think it's fine if your journey doesn't look the same. If the choices you make don't all add up with the choices other people would make in your shoes. I've had to distance myself from the feeling of certainty of my decisions. I've had to distance myself from holding on to expectations from people, things, and places. I don't own them, and they don't own me. Neither will we understand each other in total, but maybe that's quite all right. I don't think we should have understood it all, or tried to at least. Beneath the surface, deep within, there's a version of you that waits. That's beneath all of your choices, all of the versions of self that you call you. They are fragments of a whole that you can choose to make real at any one moment. And so, I don't try and make it too big of a fuss what I'm becoming and what I'm doing. I hope that enough people accept the version of myself that I become, and that I can continue to live on in this way. Because I've been so dissatisfied and so disconnected from this idea that I need to be something, that I need to be someone that others can look at and be proud of. I've already done so much living for other people, to make them happy and to make them satisfied and somehow recognize me in some way or the other. But in doing this, I've forgotten something very critical, that I'm not living enough for myself. I'm not making enough choices that I believe in. And whenever I find myself disconnected from something that I think is real and beautiful and here, I just remind myself that I'm my own person, and that I need to be making the choices that I can live with, even when I'm not always satisfied with them. But at least I did what I believed in, lest I fall to these circumstances. You're more than everything around you. You're more than everything that shaped you and made you who you are today. There's truly no guidance at the end of the day. This is your journey. This is your truth and this is your reality. There are no critics because you are the one judge. It's a life that you have to live for your own terms, for your own sake, not for that, for one or the other, but truly yourself. So I'd like you to detach yourself a little bit. I'm trying to, at least. Detach yourself from the expectation of things to be or things that were. There's only the here and now and what you'll make of the day to day as you try to live with the decisions bit by bit. As hard as they may be, it's your life to live. And I'd hope that you live for the decisions that you value dearly and nearly to your heart. Every step along the way, I've had to consider what I'm getting from this experience and the version of myself that I want to be.
Because there's so many things I want to change about myself.
Things I'd like to acquire and things I'd like to do better. But what am I gonna do? Sit and wait for somebody to make those decisions for me. Sit and wait for the day to come as if it's waiting. It'll only be there if I work for it, if I make it happen in the here and now. So I hope you move towards this journey of self-discovery.
And you continue to make all of the decisions that you yourself can believe in. Uniquely and beautifully you.
And don't forget, you matter because you exist.